Your gorilla will fucking tear you in half, man.
Hello everyone and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight I have our czar of source material, John.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have the time to talk about our Lord and Savior, Haruhi Suzumiya?
I knew you were going to do that, you son of a bitch. Oh shit, and our poser extraordinaire, Nitai.
Wait, what the fuck? We've already done a BNA Spoilercast. What is this shit?
I don't know. We're back for round 2, I guess, Nitai. This time
Enough
with
of the furries!
This time with 100% more John.
Oh. Wait, 100% more of 0% is still 0. Do you know math?
Moving on. Moving on. So yes, we are doing a spoiler cast of the anime adaptation of BEASTARS tonight. Like Natai just said, the furry invasion is coming.
Fucking
Obviously.
degenerates.
Yeah, you fucking degenerates. This
It
is why we can't have nice things.
It all started with Kemono Mimi Friends or whatever that fucking thing was, right? Now look
Kimono
what
Friends.
Kimono friends.
Kemono Mimi Friends or some shit.
Kimono
Kimimi Momo Friends. I don't remember what it was. Remember how big that was a
Kimono
couple years ago?
rorero.
Now
I
we've got
remember the fucking shitstorm because they fired the director.
Ooh, damn.
That was
But now
ages
we have
ago.
like full anthropomorphic animals infiltrating our animes. What happened to the simple cat ears and cattails, man? What the hell?
This is it. That's how it starts.
This is the furry agenda.
This is the furry agenda.
It all starts nice and easy, you know, just cat ears and stuff, and then suddenly you see a naked bunny with bikinis and bottoms and all that shit. It's just, what the fuck is going on?
This is the best start to spoiler cast we've ever done. Except maybe that ReZero spoiler cast we did where we all did the I
mean, we'll get another shot at that.
Oh, I know we will. But yeah, we're talking about BEASTARS tonight. A little bit of background information on it before we dive into it. It is based on a manga created by Paro Itagaki. I highly recommend you follow her on Twitter if you don't, because she is a fucking treat.
She's a fucking weirdo.
Chicken
She is a
mangaka is the
fucking-
best mangaka.
Yeah, chicken manga. This anime adaptation was produced by Studio Orange. They had previously worked on anime like Dimension W and Land of the Lustrous, which I still haven't watched, but people keep telling me over and over again to watch Land of the Lustrous because it's like 3D CGI done right.
Wait, what does that mean? What does 3D CGI done right even mean?
Like not 25 frames a second, I'm assuming.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to think of other 3D CGI that I actually did not mind, or rather I should say I liked.
I mean,
can't think of-
Overlord shit the bed real quick with that CG.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
What about Ghost in the Shell SAC 2045?
SAC 2045? Yeah.
Sack.
SAC
Get that-
2045.
Sack. Get sack.
Get SAC 2045.
I have a hard time taking it seriously when people call it get sack.
Like something that you'd hear like in a COD match on Xbox Live.
I know.
Get sacked, fucking bitch.
Um, good lord.
Anyway, I digress.
This anime was directed by Shinichi Matsumi, who was previously an episode director for the aforementioned Land of Lustrous, and Rage of Bahamut Genesis, another anime I still have yet to watch.
Isn't that the one based on the mobile game?
I believe so.
Also, shout out to our scriptwriter, our MVP that wrote the best episodes of BNA.
Yeah, the 2 best episodes of BNA, Nanami Higuchi, which I really tripped up on when we did our BNA spoiler cast. I finally was able to pronounce the name right tonight. Yeah, he wrote the script for the entire anime, all 12 episodes.
Oh. Well, that's a shame.
I know you didn't like BNA, and it is a shame you weren't on our BNA spoiler cast because I'm sure you would have just laid into all of it.
Oh man, I know you didn't want me on that podcast because that topic, because I would have ripped into it.
Don't hurt me. Not the face. So let's actually jump right into it. So let's talk about the art. As I mentioned, this is 3D CG animated like completely. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I actually can't imagine what this would have looked like 2D. I don't think it would have been nearly as good had it been 2D.
Well, first of all, the manga looks really bad.
Okay.
Really?
Okay, so yeah, I don't want this to necessarily be a spoiler cast for the manga, but since you brought it up, I will say, because I do read it too, or at least I read it now. Yes, the art is not great, especially the mangaka has a distinct lack of background art in a lot of panels. Like, yeah, a lot of panels.
It's pretty rough. Really? I thought the 3D CGI was okay. It didn't look like complete shit. But I honestly wouldn't say the animation and the art is a main focus of the show.
I just don't think it would have looked anywhere near as good 2D. Maybe that's just me.
I tell you what, I think that they pretty much like did one of the best things they could with the whole 3D animation by like also utilizing 3D camera movements and stuff, like actually utilizing that whole technology, and also like the sets themselves look fucking great.
Well, yeah, you see that whole thing at in the I think it's the first episode where Legoshi attacks Haru. Like, that was the camera's moving around constantly in that. And
also like in one of the theater episodes where they have this fight on stage. That's also like very well put together in terms of like the camera movement.
I think it's because a lot of 3D CGI anime that have come out, they contain a lot of like action sequences. So a lot of the budget goes towards like that. So then the rest looks like shit. But with BEASTARS,
but even the action looks shit in most of these shows. Like, I remember watching Slime, and I love Slime. But man, when the fucking CG Orc Army showed up, that looked terrible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Slime Sensei, not great.
Especially since all the other animation is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think BEASTARS is helped by the fact that it's completely 3D CG, whereas like Slime Tensei is they use the CG in certain parts, and it really stands out, and it stands out really badly.
Yeah.
I think an anime where the 3D CG isn't done well, and it is a full or mostly full 3D CG show, is Knights of Sidonia,
which is a shame. Because I also read Knights of Sidonia. It's a pretty decent story. Like, it's not bad, but god damn is that anime bad. Like,
it doesn't help that it runs at like 20 frames a second too.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
Oh, but how could you forget Berserk 2016?
We don't talk
about that.
We don't. Especially since they do sprinkle in the good 2D animation. You're like, what the fuck? The hand drawn.
Yeah, they're like they sprinkle, they like hold it in front of you like a fucking carrot. It's like, this is what you want, isn't it? This is what you want.
It's like,
nope.
Here's this like 30 seconds of hand drawn art, and like, why did you not just do this for the whole thing? Damn it! Oh, God.
I personally loved the 3D CG. I thought it was about as well done as it could have been.
Yeah.
I love how well the character designs worked in 3D. And the character designs themselves, I think, deserve a special mention. Because like they work. They fucking work. We're like in B&A, right? It's all very cartoony, and the characters feel very elastic. Because, well, mostly because it's a trigger anime, because that's how they design their characters. But with BEASTARS, like, these characters feel solid.
Yeah,
like,
they
if
feel
you
like
actually hit them, you were
going
to hit something.
Yeah.
I mean,
they have like this weight in the world, I
there's
guess.
but then, so the animal designs is like, they're just caricatures of animals. Or rather, they're not caricatures of animals, they're just the animals. But yeah. They have anime eyes. That's literally the only difference.
But that's not all there is to it. There's also like their mannerisms, the way they carry themselves out. Like, I absolutely adore how Legoshi is a character, just moves around in this world. You know, it's like just, you know, his back is all just
hunched over, and he's
hunched over, exactly. He's like a lanky person.
He moves around. He moves around like an introvert.
Yeah, and that's like, and that philosophy of how these characters moves around, it's like being applied to the rest of the cast, and I absolutely love that. It gives so much, like, you know, personality and just like this certain energy to this show.
I do know one thing that some people were freaked out about is there is some issues with proportions with some of the characters. Some of the characters have really tiny heads on big bodies, and some people have big heads on tiny bodies.
Yeah.
I didn't notice something. Didn't feel too distracting to me.
But I mean, that
Lewis has a very small head considering the size of his body.
I'm sorry,
but he also has
you mean Rui?
Lewis, however the fuck. I've heard it pronounced 3 different ways. I've heard it pronounced 3 different ways now. I've heard it pronounced Lewis, Louis, and Rui.
It is. We are only going to go by the official Japanese dub, and it's pronounced Rui.
I just want to say, every time you talk like that, you sound exactly like Pink Guy. God, I miss Pink Guy.
Fucking trash.
But I do know that that's something that people did kind of have an issue with, and I do see it because there's some characters that seem kind of out of proportion, and it hits that sort of uncanny valley where you realize what it's supposed to be, but it's like, no.
I still don't think it's that bad though, because anime is always disproportionate. So maybe it's because I've gotten so used to watching anime where it doesn't bother me. Like I barely noticed it.
You want to see some really disproportionate faces? Watch Uzaki-chan.
Oh my god, it's so bad. It's a shame. I like the manga way better than the anime, but no, I was gonna say canon, but or not canon. Air was worse.
Yeah, I was about to say Clannad. Go see
Clannad. Oh my god.
Those
you want to talk about those fucking giant eyes that are about 3/4 the size of the face?
Yeah. So again, it just feels like it's to me it's normal, and like I said, it doesn't bother me that it's 3D CGI. Like it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's outstanding either. Like sure they have some mannerisms down when they have like movement and stuff, but overall again, it's not very actiony, so there's not much to look at in the animation department.
Yeah.
So
I mean, probably the biggest action sequences. I mean, unless you're counting the stuff towards the end, which has a lot of action, especially the fight scene between the mob boss, whose name I forget, and Legoshi.
Yeah.
The really before then, the only real action, there was one where Legoshi attacks Haru, and at the very beginning, and then there's the stage play.
Yep.
Scenes.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, those really are. Those are the only 3 like action-oriented sequences in the entire show. And they're done really well. I think they're all done really well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right. Well, I guess we can move on to the OST, which
fucking rules.
The OST was scored by Satoru Kosaki, who previously had worked on these scores for both seasons of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and the movie The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya.
But more importantly, he has done the scoring for a vast majority of the Monogatari series.
Explains why the scoring is so fucking good.
Yes,
that's one thing.
This guy
really stood out in BEASTARS to me. Like, I remember when I picked it up, because everyone was talking about BEASTARS, right? And I was like, yeah, I really don't care. I had doubts about watching it, because I was like, it's basically just Zootopia, the anime, right? And kind of, not really,
but not
kind
really.
of. Like, it has, like, the same premise of, like, carnivores versus herbivores, and, there's this whole society's bias towards the carnivores and stuff, which Zootopia is all about. But that that's a kid's film. But this one is it's a teenage drama, right?
There's rabbit titties in it.
There are rabbit titties in here, and
rabbit season.
Rabbit season.
Yeah, but one thing that I really enjoyed was the scoring, because it's like super jazzy, and it's very mood setting. Like
very atmospheric.
Yeah, it's really good.
The main theme is so good and so kind of even a bit melancholic, and absolutely love it. And also the insert songs they have from time to time. It's very, very chill insert songs with I can't remember the name of the vocalist, but they're great. Really reminded me of Kekai Sensen, actually. Some of the
jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz.
Some of the insert songs in that show.
You like jazz?
Like jazz?
I will say, this isn't necessarily indicative just to BEASTARS, but there's been multiple anime recently that have incorporated jazz like soundtracks and OSTs, and I'm very happy about this because jazz is like my favorite musical genre. Please more of this, anime studios.
Old man.
I am an old man. I'm getting to be. Hey, it's the 20s again. Can we please just bring jazz music back?
I mean, I'm hearing a piano. Is that Jorno's theme? What?
Dun, dun,
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, like the way the opening song is like swing jazz, it is so good, and it sets up into each episode really well. Like I didn't really go into this thinking I'd like the OP and like the music, but it's just so good. It makes me feel like
dancing.
Well, it sets the mood. It's atmospheric, and it just makes me like in the mood to watch this show. Like it's all thematic.
Yeah, I adore the animation of the opening. It's so good.
We got to talk about that. The stop motion. That was awesome.
Yeah, fucking great.
I cannot imagine how much effort it took to make that. Like as much effort as we think making like an animated opening sequence is, like that's got to be so much more work, but it works so well.
It's so fucking good.
It's like, and it's also again thematic because they're puppets in a play. Because there's a bigger picture, there's a story happening in the background, which is really cool.
And they're in the drama club.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's thematic.
Whoa!
It's like a theme inside of a theme.
Oh man, themeception.
I love how like as the OP progresses, it's like more lighthearted, and then they start dancing. It's all fun and games. And then at the end, the OP is Legoshi pretty much just eating Haru. It's all bloody and stuff.
I also like how it ends like, and that's called jazz.
This fucking song is so good.
I fucking love that hook. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, man. Just everything about the music of this is just absolutely fucking fantastic. Just and it sets the mood. And like you said, it's very atmospheric, and especially the scenes where there's lots of tension. Like you feel it just with the music. God, I fucking love when music does that.
Yeah. They built a good fucking anime around the music. It's surprisingly well made.
Yeah. Something else I do want to talk about is the voice acting, specifically for the English dub, because like it's good. I've watched this. I've actually watched this in 3 languages now. I've watched this. I've only watched 1 episode in Spanish, but I've watched it fully now, all 12 episodes in both Japanese and English, and I have to say, the English dub is pretty damn good. Like I really liked it, especially the voice of Legoshi. Like the guy who does his voice. Let me look it up real quick.
He also voices a JoJo character in Part 5.
Does he?
Yes,
he does Formaggio. Yeah, he's Jonas Scott, who's relatively new to the voice acting scene.
He's pretty good.
From what little I've seen so far, very good.
Mm-hmm. I watched only the first episode dubbed a while back, and I was really impressed by his performance. It was fucking great.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for you guys to finish so I can just rip it apart.
Before the dub or the
dub. Rip and tear until it's done.
I want to talk about the Japanese save, so go ahead and rip the dub.
All right. So I watched the first 4 episodes in the English dub because someone wouldn't shut the fuck up about saying it's so good, it's so good.
I love it. I love the English dub.
My God, you could be no more wrong because it's fucking like, okay. So Legoshi, his dub actor did a phenomenal job. I give him props. He really portrayed him, and like he really acted out the emotions that Legoshi was feeling, and I enjoyed it. Everyone else, garbage.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. Like Legoshi's English voice, it gives me tingly parts down below.
Oh,
gross.
Come on.
Anyway, yeah. So I think
show yourself the door.
Legoshi's voice actor in English is fine. He does a great job, like portraying him and being Legoshi. So it's good. Everyone else, like Louis and Haru and literally everyone else in the cast, garbage. It was just like B tier to me. I was just like, whatever. Especially Haru. I hated her voice actress. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, Haru. I'll agree that Haru could have been a little better
because so in the Japanese dub, Haru's voice actor is like more facetious, not as bitchy.
Yeah,
but the English one was a little more bitchy in her tone and how she conveyed messages, and I'm just like,
the tone was very sarcastic a lot.
Yeah, it just didn't really make Haru's character like it did in the Japanese dub, and Sure, you can call me a Japanese dub like supremacist and subs over dubs for sure. And I watched a lot of things, but if you guys have listened before, I do call out good dubs. Like, I don't mind English when it's done well. In this circumstance or in this capacity, I just can't say it was a good dub. I gave it 4 episodes. I tried, man. It just falls flat. All the acting falls flat except Legoshi. Legoshi was the only one that was good, but that's not enough because this isn't an anime that's just about Legoshi. There's a whole, like, fucking cast of characters in the background that also talk and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, so part of the reason that Haru's English voice actor might have come off as flat is because, I mean, she's done some main characters, but she mostly does supporting characters.
And, like, you didn't have to tell me
She's
twice.
also the English voice of the Tachikomas and Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, and she does the Tachikomas very well. I love the English Tachikomas. They're so cute.
Maybe it's just down to, like, poor direction that they gave
I don't know. It just felt like everyone was B-tier actors. You know how there's certain animes, like, I don't know, the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya dub, or like the Clannad dub. It's all just like B-tier actors and actresses, and you're just like, they really scraped the bottom of the barrel to collect like the fucking lowest bidder for this part. Like, holy shit.
I would actually argue the only really standout performance in the Haruhi dub is Wendy Lee as Haruhi.
It's okay, yeah. but
the Japanese voice acting is absolutely on point.
Oh no, I love the Japanese one. It's way better.
Apparently, they also like how they went about like recording like, you know, the lines for the show was a bit different from most anime. Like from I can't remember where I read this article, but apparently for every time one of the characters had these like inner monologues or inner thoughts, apparently they would use a different mic. It's so fucking weird. It's a mic that looks like a broom or whatever, and you can actually hear that it has like this more rough, I guess, sort of sound. Very, I don't know. There's something about it that sounds a bit rough around the edges, which is pretty cool. And apparently, when they went about the recording sessions, when there's like a bunch of characters in one scene, when they were going about the recording sessions, they would like actually direct them in the booth as though it was like a theater scene, you know. So they would like walk around and talk to each other, and they had these mics set up all across like the
so they were like actually booth. Like acting while they were voice acting,
which
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's so cool because
they were physically interacting with each other.
Yeah, which is so cool because like when I watched the show, there was something about it that like the voice acting really stood out to me for some reason. And after like reading about it and finding out like how much effort they put into the actually recording like the entire voice cast of the show, that was like, I respect the shit out of that. That's so cool.
That's a hell of a lot of effort to put into that.
But it comes through. Off. It's conveyed through. Like it's one of the small things that not, I would say everyone would pick up on, but when people do notice it, it's nice, you know. But it's like it just contributes overall to the great story that's being told. Yeah. To it contributes to our entertainment. It's a good thing.
It pulls you in and makes the whole thing feel that much more alive, and it's great.
Yeah, makes you feel like it's an actual world you want to be in.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Okay, fair point. But speaking of that story, John, let's actually talk about the story. Because unlike how what Natai and I talked about last time, which was B&A, which was more of a situationally driven story, this is an entirely character driven story.
Yes, and it follows our main character, Legoshi, and Lego Boy.
Best Lego Boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's the main character. There's a bunch of supporting characters around him that they're not really main characters because we only follow around Legoshi. But there are a lot of other characters who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not contingent.
Mainstay.
You'll get it in a second.
Mainstay? I don't remember, man. It's early.
Supporting?
They're integral. That's the word I'm
integral.
Yeah, they have a lot of background characters that are integral to the overall story. You know, like when we meet Rui for the first time, and he's just like, oh, he's like the school's Madonna, right? He's the one who's going to be the next B-star, and he's like has this haughty attitude and bosses Legoshi around, and you don't really think of him as like part of the main character crew because we are always following Legoshi, but as the story advances and stuff, we find like all the people that Legoshi meets actually has a role in his life, and they're actually real people. It's a real setting, and that's what's cool about this. It's an actual story. It's not just like A happens, so B has to happen, so C happens, and then it kind of just like goes to its own thing. Like in BNA, where it's just fucking situation driven. It's stupid. But I really wish I was there to talk shit about BNA.
I know. The cool thing about Legoshi is that he doesn't realize a lot of the stuff that's going on around him until he actually starts to open up to the people that are fucking around him.
Yeah. Yep. Because, you know, he's our main star, and he's used to, you know, he starts off saying... Or not, he starts off saying, but we start off learning that he doesn't like fighting, even though he's like a big gray wolf and people are scared of him. And that's why like Rui talks about like, you bare your fangs to avoid fighting. What a weird guy, you know, because he's someone who doesn't want to cause trouble. He wants to keep his head low. And when he starts actually like realizing the people around him, and he starts realizing, oh, people have feelings and I have feelings and we need to communicate and this and that. He starts caring more about his circumstances and things around him, and he starts noticing things more, you know? And that's real. That's what real life is like. Yeah. When you don't care about anything other than yourself and wanting to keep yourself safe, you don't have a very wide field of view on life, on anything around you, because you're only concerned about yourself, you know? And it's just...
You can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah. But it always struck me as like he does that at the beginning because he's scared to like open up and like in his eyes maybe even hurt people, you know, because
people see him as this big wolf guy, and like they're always trying to pick fights with him, and he's just like, I don't want to pick fights. Like he doesn't want to be what society thinks he should be. He wants to be who
he just wants to keep to
is.
himself, stay in the shadows, and like just, you know, not make a scene out of anything and just be by himself. And that's why I absolutely love that scene. It was in
Is his name
episode
Yoshikage
1.
Kira?
In episode 1, that scene where he approaches I think it's a sheep. Anyway, this girl that was the guy who got killed at the beginning of the show.
Oh, Tem's crush.
So yeah, Tem's crush.
Els.
When he approaches her with the letter, that scene is so wonderful, and like just portraying him as this just such a gentle guy, you know.
Yeah, but it's contrasted so well with his stature. It's
and
like
how he's so creepy.
Yeah,
he acts so creepy.
he's like this big hulking guy that's just this crowded over you. And he's like, "Hi, you should have this."
And then
Bye.
like the fact that she freaks out and is like, "I knew I couldn't trust you, carnivores," and he's like, well, anyway,
here's a letter.
Here's a letter for you." And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll tell everyone that you weren't actually a creep and trying to eat me." He's like, No, I'm used to it. Don't worry about it." He's just like, Legoshi, you idiot.
It's also inadvertently some really good world building too. It's like,
yeah,
you feel like this is how carnivores are used to being talked to, by herbivores in this world.
Yeah, and this is all in the first episode where it sets up everything for us, you know, that we understand the circumstances in the world. We understand how herbivores and carnivores get along. Like it's a really good setup for the rest of the anime. It sets up everything that we need to know that's put on the back burner. Then we get to see little bits and pieces of it throughout the show to reinforce it. Like this is storytelling done well.
Yes, that was the cool thing. So the story actually opens up with, you know, you hear about the murder of an actual herbivore student, and it's been done by a carnivore, but you're never explicitly told that it's a carnivore student. It just happens on school grounds.
Yeah. Well, no, we're told explicitly because Tem was like, "I knew you carnivores couldn't be trusted."
Oh, that's right.
So it was pretty explicit. But
that doesn't necessarily mean that it was a student, but it's heavily implied that it is, but it's not outright stated.
Yeah, no one knows who actually did the crime. And the people outside of us, the viewer, don't actually know that it was a carnivore that did it, but they throw accusations anyway because it sets the setting for the world of like how carnivores are still seen as vicious compared to the herbivores.
also, surprisingly, that whole storyline of the murder takes a back seat for the entirety of this first season.
I was going to ask about that.
Which really surprised me.
Yeah, that was going to ask about that because we're front-loaded with that right at the beginning of the story, and you're kind of expecting, oh, this is going to be like a murder mystery that takes place in a school, and over the course of the story, you're going to actually get little bits and pieces of who the actual killer is, and it's like, okay, what they do is they set that up at the beginning, and then every couple of episodes, there'll be some subtle reminder that, oh, this event happened, but they're actually still investigating it, and nothing new has been discovered yet. And then by the end of the first season, all you're left with is, well, this still happened. We still really don't know anything, and this killer is still out there.
Yeah, and because of how it ended, like with that cliffhanger in season 1, I continued onto the manga because I was like, dude, I need to know. I need to know what happened. Like, fuck this. I can't. I'm not waiting around for season 2. Like, didn't they just announce season 2 was coming out? Like last
they announced it when the show first. When the show ended, they announced it.
They announced it in the last episode. The last episode ends with a title card that says "See you second season."
Yeah, but then they finally announced when second season was coming out.
It's coming out in 2020. It was actually supposed to come out, I believe, in fall of 2020, but because of COVID, it's actually been pushed back to 2021.
Oh, I see. So it was only like half a year delay.
Yeah, about a year.
Okay. Yeah, so because of the fucking cliffhanger, I was like, no, fuck that noise. I'm going to go read the manga. So that's how it all started.
Let's not discuss how that ends.
I'm not going to discuss it, but I'm like, pretty excited for season 2. I'm looking forward to watching it because the story is really, it's not bad. Like, I went into, again, watching this with doubts because I was like, isn't it just bullshit anime Zootopia? And it's really not. It's its own thing, and it's very interesting how the world is built. You know, when when the carnivores go to the city and they go to the black market, for example, like, that's
the black market is great.
That was super cool. Also, I love Panda Dude. Panda Dude is awesome.
Panda is the best.
Yeah, I'm just like, he made me want to just be like vegan and be super buff and just be like a panda. I'll call myself Panda Lifts or something. And
dude, how come this show just introduces this Chad Panda out of nowhere? It's like, wow.
Yeah, he's so cool.
I love him.
I like how he just, like, his entire personality is just giving out, like, philosophy for no reason. Well, like, anytime he shows up, he starts in on some philosophy shit and it's like, thanks, man.
He's a trope, you know. He's the hard-boiled, like, character that's been in with the underground, right? Like, he's that type of trope, and I don't hate that type of trope because it was interesting, like the way that they portray the Panda Dude and how he fits into this society. That's awesome.
I like how they mix that trope with just being a fucking badass and carrying around a bamboo crossbow.
Yeah, he's cool, dude. He's like ex-Yakuza. But it's also really good because when Legoshi meets him, he learns, like, Legoshi's like, you know, he's been battling with this, oh, I'm a carnivore and this, I'm supposed to act like this, and that's why he goes to the city with his carnivore friends because they're like, we're supposed to eat meat, it's in our nature, you know. And Legoshi has been struggling with his own inner demon about, like, being true to himself, but what really is himself, because what does he enjoy? He likes flowers, he likes quiet things, he doesn't like standing out and being the big bad tough guy. But then we meet the panda guy, who's this big, bad, tough guy who everyone knows, like, well, he's a bear, but he's a panda. You know, pandas are, like, the least threatening bear of all bears, right? They're little cute, little fucking sneezing things we see on YouTube, you know? It's this idea where it gets smashed to the ground. Like, this is one of the examples where, you know, you don't have to be what the world thinks you are. You can be who you want to be. And that's a really cool thing. That's why, it fits. It's a good story. Yeah. It gets told really well.
Yeah.
That whole growth of Legoshi throughout this first season is really well done. I really loved it. One of my favorite bits is in the construction of the festival. That last shot of Legoshi, I think it was with the paint, where it's like rubs it against his face when he's like realizing that
when he realizes that
he loves Haru and he's going to go after her because like he realized, no, I'm actually gonna do something about it and not be just a passive loser about, like, this whole situation. That whole bit is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love that scene. What a phenomenal way to end the episode too. Yeah. By the way, where he's got this bunch of paint in his hand and he just squeezes it so hard that it just explodes, and then instead of cleaning it up, he just rubs it all over his face.
It's to make him savage. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh man, so I was gonna ask before we got off on this massive tangent about pandas and shit.
He's so cool, dude.
About how the idea of front loading the mystery onto the story, and then like, it was like one episode of setup, and then like a mystery, and then like 11 episodes of world building and romance. Like what do you guys think of that like structure?
So I'll tell you what, like, as a hook, it's fucking amazing, because that whole scene of the murder of Tim, absolutely love the colors of it, like how it's all like black with the outlines and stuff. It's great. It's so well put together. It intrigues you and hooks you in. It's amazing. Then the show lets the world and the world building keep on, you know, engrossing you and entertaining, because it's so well done. It's so fascinating. But not gonna lie, some of like the first 4 or so episodes of the show, when some of them focused mainly on the theater club, kind of lost me for a bit, which is weird because I was in a theater club myself and I loved that shit, but it felt kind of, it didn't feel like it was going anywhere. It's like, oh,
did you think it felt a little melodramatic?
I mean, not so much. It just felt like it wasn't really going. It was just like, yes, we need to get this stage play up and running and all that, and it was just whatever. I
kind of felt like it was not a lot, but quite a bit of forced.
You're talking about how Louis is like, oh, I broke my leg, but I still gotta keep going. Yeah.
I mean,
gotta get a little further
I don't know.
Beyond.
That felt in character to me. I don't know.
Yeah, see, honestly, if they didn't do that murder mystery thing in the first episode and tacked it at the end of the season, it would have made zero difference. Like,
really?
Yeah, because to me, the murder mystery thing, like, it does set up the premise of like the herbivores versus carnivores thing. But the fact that they never circle back to it until the end, where like, oh yeah, that thing still happened, I kind of didn't like that, you know?
Except for like the couple of scenes you got where like Legoshi's walking past the like memorial thing where the flowers are, and it's like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I disagree.
Like, because you're right, because right after that it switches modes and follows Legoshi, and we're following his like basic boring life. But it's I get that's why they do it, because it's supposed to be like, well, his basic boring life is like this. This is how he likes to live, in the shadows, just around people, and then he doesn't really care, and it's not until it ramps up later, and it makes more sense. But it's like it's supposed to be an organic story, right?
Sure, I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that. My issue was the theater club storyline just didn't feel like it was going anywhere interesting. Aside from that, the whole world building and just, you know, getting to know the school and seeing how everything worked. Like, I fucking love that there's this one shot where you see these like small critters just walking to the side of the walls, and there's a sign that says, yeah, all small animals walk to the side of the wall so no one steps on you. Like, I love that shit. It gives this show personality and character, and that's great. Just the whole plotline of them getting the stage show like going, and the whole like relationships in that club just didn't really grab me at first. Eventually, I really liked it, and I loved the characters and how they interacted with each other. But for like a good 2 episodes, it felt kind of like it dragged a bit.
Yeah,
but I'm just talking about that storyline. Aside from that, I absolutely loved the entire like everything else.
Well, see, that's why I said, because of the whole theater club's like storyline, that's why I feel like the murder thing should have happened after that, you know, because then it would have been the catalyst. It would have made more sense.
You would have had a lot of suspects too.
Yeah, because then it would have been like, was it motivated by a carnivore because he was hungry? Was it motivated because they wanted a role because Tam's role finally opened up? You know, like, they could have done it a lot better. You know, there could have been more intrigue into it, intertwining the story. But again, it's because Legoshi, since we're following him, and he's a background character throughout the entire thing, that's why we got to watch that melodramatic, like, I'll be the Grim Reaper dude, and this fucking stupid shit until we get to the fight scene, of course. Then the fight scene's pretty awesome. So
I did like the illusion that rabbit's blood being used as like a stand-in for drugs.
Yeah,
that was actually really cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. Rabbit blood? Wasn't it just herbivore blood?
Her scent.
No, well, I think it was actually rabbit's blood, I think is what they said in the show.
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't the guy just say because carnivores get a high because that's how they are?
Yeah, they use it as like a performance enhancing drug, and it's actually an allusion to something like steroids.
Or no, liquid courage. It was like
liquid courage.
He was drunk
alcohol,
on it, you know.
Heroin.
Yeah,
coke,
dude was drunk and high, man. He was crossfaded. He was fucked up. He was lit. Yeah.
I also like that when he's introduced and clearly after he's used this rabbit's blood, he goes like.
He was doing cocaine.
Yeah, that's not an illusion, anything, is it? In Japan.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of the whole love triangle thing between Legoshi, Haru, and Juno?
Hated it. Okay, first of all, how you gonna do my girl Haru dirty like this? Come on, man. Fuck you, Juno. You don't know her life. How dare you?
Hey, don't talk shit of Juno. She's the best. She got cucked. No one's gonna trash my girl Juno.
She got cucked. She's a manipulative cunt bag.
Fucking cat burglar.
You say she's a manipulative cunt bag, but let's talk about Haru for a sec.
Yeah,
hey,
but she's
Haru's a slut and she acknowledges it.
I mean, I respect that she acknowledges it, but still.
Oh man, but
you're
her
a
story
slut,
was
but I
so
respect you.
Her story was so good though. I loved Haru's. Like at first, I didn't like her because of the whole slut aspect, but then once you learn more about her, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Haru is fucking great. I really love her character.
She's a good character. Then there's Juno, she's. I don't like
Juno's
the fact
great as well. I like her. She's this fucking ambitious person who's like, no, I'm gonna be whatever it entails because I honestly don't get it. Like, I'm gonna be a B-star. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get what I want no matter what. And she's like, she actually tries and like goes for it. She has no fear. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of a cool contrast to Legoshi, who was like,
but she kind of does it by manipulating the people around her.
I mean, yeah. She's not. I'm not trying. Like, I'm not saying she's like necessarily a good person. Like, goddamn, she's a bitch. But I don't know. I kind of. Most of them are bitches.
I think that's your lead-in right there, John.
All right, but so I get what you're saying. Like Juno as a character, she's a good contrast, right? She would be a good foil to Legoshi, but I just don't like the fact that she denies what Legoshi wants to be, right? Like then that's the biggest problem because Legoshi wants to not be like Juno, a pride wolf leading the pack who's going to become a B-star and center of attention. Like that's why she contrasts, and that's why it doesn't make sense for her to like Legoshi because he's like, no, fuck that. I want to do what I want to do.
By the end of the show, I totally get Legoshi and Haru's relationship. Just when Juno was first introduced, I was like, oh, I like this. But yeah, by the end of the show, I'm like, yeah, there's no way. But I still really like her character as a whole.
She'd be a good partner for like Louis or some shit.
I mean, we'll see.
Well,
he disappeared the fuck out of the show. Yeah, I don't know what's up with him.
Just fucking straight up vanishes, dude.
But speaking of Louis, there's one episode where you actually get a look back at Louis' like backstory and where he came from. How fucking sad was that?
Yeah,
it's so good.
And I love how because his sad backstory opens up the other aspect of like, child trafficking for becoming food. Like that's a real thing. It's like that would be in the society. I again, it's this overarching story.
how good of that's a good analogy for actual child trafficking in the real world.
Yeah, in the society where we have high tension because of the herbivores versus the carnivores, how it affects people in different stages in life and how there's different aspects to it, and then that we learn why Rui is Rui. I call him Rui. I can't call him Louis. Rui. Rui, we learn why he's like how he is, why he's out looking for himself. Because, when we find out he's sleeping with Haru, you're like, oh shit, like what the fuck? And he's being coddled by Haru because like she doesn't care that he's trying his hardest. She's just there to, give him fun times.
Support him.
Yeah. And it just, there's so much character depth, and when they give the backstory about like how he was adopted and saved from being eaten and why he fights for himself and why he won't stand out for anyone else but himself, like it's good. It's good character building, good character depth. Like we learn more about him as a person.
Yeah, and his product number is literally branded onto him, so he can never get away from it.
Yeah. But it's also such a fucking cool thing to see how he came from that fucking despicable origin and how he slowly became this really strong and just a very charismatic and leading person,
Yeah, because
despite his origin.
Because he starts off as an herbivore who is abused by everyone, and he's told to fight for his life by his savior, which he does. He takes revenge, right? And that explains why he's like how he is. Like and that's why it explains why he hates Legoshi, because he's like, you're a fucking carnivore who has the power, who doesn't use it for his own gain. Like, you're an idiot. Do you understand how many people in this world wish they were like you? And it's like, oh man, it's so good. Good contrast. Oh shit.
Holy shit, a well-written story and characters.
Holy shit.
This is what we call a foil in the business, boys and girls.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's good, man.
It's so well thought out and just so goddamn well executed,
Yeah, but it's also cool that there are also lighter moments, right, in the anime, where
the fucking chicken scene.
Well, I will say this. I will say this. There are way fewer light moments in the anime than there are in the manga.
Yeah. Well,
the manga has like these cutaway like points to where it's like slapstick comedy. All right, back to the story.
Yeah, but one thing that I really like about the anime in comparison to the manga is that the anime is a lot more dramatic than the manga is. Like, there's a lot more tension, and that has to due in part to the music, like because of how good the setting is done by the atmosphere and how they use the OST and the scoring to set up tension and stuff.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more dramatic than the manga, which is not a bad thing. Like,
no.
The source material isn't bad. The story is okay, but how it was like made in the anime made it way better. Like it just flows way more naturally and better.
And I will say that even though the story is serious, you do need those small breather moments from time to time to break up that tension. And probably the best example of that in this first season was the story of Legum and her eggs. That was funny.
That bit is so good. Yeah, I love that bit.
And the look on her face when she realizes he's not eating the egg salad sandwich. He's like, "What? What have I done? My life is nothing."
Yeah, she's like in this uptight, like, I stick to a very strict diet. I do exercise during this time, and my eggs are the best. And it's funny. It's something that was completely unnecessary, but I appreciated it nonetheless.
Yeah, I completely appreciated it. And like, I kind of hope we still, and there were other instances of it, but they were really short, usually like a small scene or a little cutaway where you kind of got a little chuckle out of it, mostly because of Legoshi's social awkwardness.
I love his interactions with Jack. I fucking love Jack.
Oh, they're the best. Jack is such a good boy.
Because he's a golden retriever, dude.
Yeah, he's such a good boy.
I know. He's always worried about Legoshi, and it's just like he's a good boy.
I just wanted someone to pet him. I was like, my boy,
my boy Jack.
Hey, John.
What do you want? Now with Jack.
Oh man, I can't hear Jack without thinking about that now. Thank you, anime.
Jack.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I absolutely love how this show just lets the characters just sit down and talk to each other every now and then. Like a lot of the show is pretty much them just hanging around the school and talking to each other, and absolutely love that. And there's just I love that one scene when Haru and Legoshi are having lunch together, and there's this one shot of Haru like sitting there all chill and it's like it's all fine, but then it cuts to like her just. Her instincts are just telling her to run away. There's a wolf right next to you. I just love it that the show lets the characters just breathe and talk to each other. Right?
It's letting the characters tell the story.
Yeah,
and it's fucking fun to watch, is what it is.
Organic storytelling.
It is, and it's very real in a lot of parts. Like a really good example of it is after the whole Yakuza thing, which we can talk about in a second, but I wanted to bring this up now. When Haru and Legoshi are in the Love Hotel and they're trying to have their like first experience together, how fucking real is that? Because everyone's first experience is awkward as hell.
I mean, I haven't tried to eat her, so.
Yeah, that was
okay. It's not that awkward, but everyone's first experience is going to be very awkward.
That fucking moment where she tries to put herself in his mouth, it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, that was.
Girl, I didn't know this was gore.
Yeah, and that has to do with the
instincts.
Animalistic
instincts.
One of the main problems in this whole entire story was the whole herbivores are known as calm, collected, and small and weak, and carnivores are known as like apex predators who are always mean and trying to just kill each other. And like when we have that awkward scene where Legoshi and Haru are trying to figure out how to make it work for the first time, and then all of a sudden she just tries to kill herself.
How do I? Legoshi's like, how do I put my giant wolf peen inside your tiny body?
And it's well, it's a good allusion towards not illusion. What's the word I'm looking for? Comparison?
Yeah.
To like racism and classism, because that's the problems in this society, right?
Well, it's pretty well illustrated throughout. Like a lot of people say this is about racism, and yeah, you can certainly draw that conclusion. I like to think it's more about classism than racism, like the haves and the have-nots, because throughout the course of the world building that takes place, you kind of get the sense that it's way easier to be a carnivore in this world than it is an herbivore.
I mean,
like, the carnivores seem to have most of the wealth, and they seem to have most of the high prestigious jobs.
Yeah, because the carnivores are the ones who can threaten violence, right? Like, as we've seen.
It seems like that's very true. But on the other hand, you have like most society trying to like get everyone to be vegan and stuff. Like in school, all of the food is vegetarian, pretty much. They're not gonna serve meat.
Yeah, they still eat eggs.
Which is a question I have. Where are they getting their meat from?
What are you talking about? At school?
At school, they don't get meat.
They get seafood.
Anywhere where they're getting meat.
Well, no, we saw the black market.
The black market, that's the whole point
I
of the black market.
which implies that actual people are getting murdered.
Yeah. Well, no, we had that old guy who was like, "I'll sell you a finger for like $50,000."
Yeah, that's right.
That creeped me out because I could actually see that happening in some backwoods in China. That
was so good.
And it's just it's because of how the world is run. Like we have the carnivores who can't deny their instinct, but we also have the herbivores who are in power who are like, "Look, you guys need to keep that in check because you're putting everyone at risk. Like we're trying to give you a chance, but you guys keep inciting violence and." Making things your way, like that can't be how society is run. So that's why we even have the black market. It's very interesting to see this.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, that just reeks way more of classism than racism, though, because like it's so much about where your class is where you're born. Like if you're born into a carnivore family in this world, you seem to have it way better off.
That's more racism, though, don't you think?
I would like to just point out that it's speciesist because these are species.
Speciesism, yeah, it kind of is. Because racism implies that they're all the same species.
Trying to draw like a direct correlation is pretty difficult, but it's basically about like the differences.
But you can see the comparisons.
Experience. Yeah, because it's about differences, right? Like in this in this specific scenario, it's about different species. The carnivores, the herbivores, and all the ones in between. And we're following a main character who wants to break the mold, right? And he falls in love with a girl who wants to break the mold. Like she talks about how people always fall in love with her because they think she's weak and small and needs protecting, and she's like, no, I don't want to, right? And that's why she sleeps with everyone, because she's like, I just do what I want to do, like what makes me feel good. And she doesn't want to be known as like the weak person that needs to be taken care of. And it's good storytelling.
It is.
Yeah.
And
also,
then, like,
speaking of that, I like, sorry, just
go
a
ahead.
small thing. I just love how they portray how like other classmates treat Haru. Like in the first episode, when when the other rabbits go and like gang up on her.
The Harlequin rabbit and the
Harlequin.
Yeah, exactly. I like that whole portrayal of like, oh, she's a slut. This just felt real for some reason.
Yeah, because
those fucking bitches.
And it's
the mean girls.
Yeah. It's super fucked up, man.
Yeah.
She didn't do nothing wrong.
She didn't do nothing.
Well, I mean, she could have said no to sleeping with guys, but it just shows like she's not a perfect person. She understands that, and she like.
But also like they do delve into it in terms of like she has this constant fear of, well, yeah, I'm a rabbit. Any day now someone could just jump me and eat me, just like Legoshi almost like just fucking killed her out of nowhere. So she's like, this is my way of just knowing that I'm alive, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's so fucking good. They just give her more depth, and that's the same thing for most of the cast.
It's almost like these characters are written well. They're complicated and real. Wow.
Crazy, am I right?
Crazy.
Yeah, it is exactly. It's exactly what it's like. It is crazy. I would like to say though that you brought up the point that Haru is flawed. All of these characters have their own flaws and like things that hold them back, and it's great to see. Except Jack. Jack is perfect.
Jack is a good boy.
Yes, Jack is a good boy. Where was I going with this?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. The one thing I do want to point out is that the story ended really well with the whole Yakuza kidnapping thing. That was a really good way to end the season, I think.
Yeah.
And it also has some intrigue. I mean, besides just knowing the kill, that whole, again, thing about their animal instincts and Haru fucking shoving her head inside Legoshi's mouth, it's like, I wonder if that's a thing that's gonna be developed more. But we'll see.
Well, because it dives into the whole interspecies relations. Like, it's looked down upon, right? Because it's like, even when it was interspecies and they're like herbivore with herbivore or carnivore with carnivore, people would be like, oh, that's weird, you know? And that's how that's why I could see a direct correlation to racism like that, even though they're species. But it's like, for an herbivore to get with a carnivore, that's also super fucked up. And it's, you know, it was funny and awkward, but it does show like incompatibility with these two different species, especially since they're herbivore and carnivore. Like, there are certain hurdles that they're going to have to get past, you know, to move on to the next step, which is cool. It's a little thing that, you know, hopefully they develop more in the future. You know, they get more into it and they explain it better. This is like a story that I'm willing to stick out, you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's actually a good place to end this spoiler cast, don't you?
Yeah, it's been like an hour, man.
Yee.
All right. Well, thank you all there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it, because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or if you have ideas for topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Somebody touch my spaghetti.
They're all animals!
Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.